It's if you ain't getting this from a guy or girl, you lame. You just know like what is going on. I'm 23 years old. I have my own house. I bought my own house at 21. No man helped me, not even my father. I got my own money and I did that. Like, I just feel like my mom, and that's shout out to Toya. She always taught me like, don't depend on nobody.
First and foremost, Reginae was born into money, okay? And that's not nobody's fault. She cannot help who her daddy is, okay? She cannot help the fact that her daddy made it big in the rap industry. She cannot help that, okay? I don't see why people are going so hard at her in the comments, because it's not her fault that, you know, she lives a particular lifestyle. Okay. Even in some of her videos, you can see the butler in the back. Okay. That's not her fault. And you know what I say to that? I say, you know, that's why we all need to work hard so we can you know, pave the way for our lifestyle to be not like hers, but, you know, live a particular lifestyle ourselves. If I was her, I would not pay that crap no mind when people say, you know, discredit her or, you know, things like that. Because the way, I can't speak for nobody else, but here's the way that I look at it, right? I could never compare myself to a bitch that, well, I ain't even gonna say a bitch, I say anybody. I could never compare myself to a person that basically had everything handed to them. I could never compare myself to that. And I know she tries to say, oh, I'm on this show, I'm on this movie, I'm on this. But see, and whether she notices it or not, it's because of who her father is. More than anything, yes, we can all see Reginae has a personality. We can all see that she has a good sense of humor. I can see her in more movies, more TV shows. I can see that for her because you could tell she's one of those people where people say it's never a dull moment around this person. I could definitely see that for her. You have Lil Wayne as a father. You have T.I. and them on speed dial. You have access to other celebrities. So what makes you think, of course it's going to be not hard for you to make it big in the industry because you're already big. You were born into stardom before you even were thought about. I know they said, if I'm not mistaken, she's his firstborn. They say she was born when he first was starting to take off. So basically he was gonna take off either way, whether she was coming or not. But see, the thing is, I was reading through the comments, but like I was saying, I could never compare myself to somebody that was born into money because the thing is, for example, okay, she mentioned how she bought her first house at 23. No, your father bought that for you at 23. Okay, with Miss Me, you may have had some club appearances. You may have been on some TV shows, some movies, or this and that and the third. Anytime, whether you did it or not, at the end of the day, you are a trust fund baby. Okay, whether people want to say, you know, what it is or not, you are a trust fund baby, dear. Okay, it is what it is, and that's not a bad thing. That's not to discredit anything that she has done. She doesn't know how it feels to have to work a 9 to 5, have to save up for anything. At the end of the day, if she wanted to sit on her ass for the rest of her life, she could do that. If Toya and Dwayne, I believe that's his name, if they were to allow her to do that, she could do that. Her grandkids not gonna be wanting for shit, okay? And that's not her fault. So I don't see why people are going so hard at her for that, because she cannot help that. You know, I don't think anybody should have hate in their heart for the opportunities that some people were allowed, because at the end of the day, if that's the lifestyle that God created for her, she cannot help that. That just means, as a society, we have to create generational wealth for our children. If you ask me, I don't think it's nothing for nobody to hate on. Okay, so that's the first thing. I could never compare to myself to somebody that, has had everything handed to them. Number two, it just goes back to she doesn't know how it feels to struggle. She doesn't know how it feels to have to save. She'll never know that feeling. That's another thing why I can never compare myself to somebody that don't know, basically, that shit can get real. Okay, this ain't got nothing to do with fighting or being in the street. This has everything to do with, you don't know how it feels to have to, for example, I could never compare myself to somebody that, daddy gave her everything. Like, for example, before I had a car, I was taking the public transportation bus, meaning, like the city bus, where you have to actually like have change to take the bus from wherever you had to go. She don't know nothing about that. She's probably the type, ain't no probably, she's the type that always had a car. And quick sidebar for the people out there that want to put people down about taking, the city bus and stuff like that. Now this is a sidebar, scooting her to the side. This is just a public notice. If you are a person that lives middle class or anything below middle class, okay, don't say the public transportation is just for poor people, because that's gonna be a story time for another day. But like I told y'all, when I was going to community college, there were certain people there that clowned me about taking the bus. Okay, and let's just say the chick that I told y'all about that had jumped me with her mom, she actually, she used to clown me real bad about taking the public transportation bus because she had a car. And it just so happened I ended up passing both of my classes and she failed both of hers. And as y'all all know, I ended up transferring my credits to a university. Now I'm out of college and I'm going to grad school in the fall, as you all know. And she still is where she is. So, and the only reason why I didn't have a car back then was because I was scared to drive. But then once I got used to a car, I realized there wasn't really nothing to it. But nonetheless, I just wanted to throw that out there. Be careful how you talk about people. And then another thing, she was clowning me about taking a bus. But the thing was, yeah, you have a car, but you stayed with your mom out the hood. Okay, and I was actually in a one-bedroom apartment that won't out the hood. Okay, so it just goes to show how people can ride around town like they that bitch. And then, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because I heard people say that often about people standing at the bus stop, but just because everybody that's standing at the bus stop don't mean they broke. Some people could be like me, they just afraid to drive. Okay, they have to overcome that fear. Okay, when I got ready to buy a car, I reached in my savings account and got the money out. Okay, but with that being said, so back to Reginae, I just wanted to throw that out there right quick. So yeah, she doesn't know how it feels to, basically have to crawl before you walk. And that's not her fault. I can't stress this enough because I see how people dogging her in the comments. But it's not, if I was her, I would pay that shit dust. Because the thing is, it's not her fault. And that's the bigger picture. I know they mentioned how she dropped out of college because she felt that it wasn't for her. She's still young. She could go back if she wants to. It's just I can't compare myself to somebody that we come from two different worlds. Okay? Her daddy can put her through school. She probably doesn't know what a FAFSA is. Financial aid. She probably heard about it on TV, but she don't know what that is. Her daddy can put her through school. I'm saying, like, she doesn't know how it feels to, like, have to take out, like, as far as student loans, and you get what I'm saying. Like, that girl ain't got to take out no student loan. Her daddy can buy that for her. Her daddy can do that for her. Her daddy can put her through school. She'll never see a bill in her life. Okay, as far as, I'm sure she pays bills in her place, and I've heard her say before, as much as, she pay her own bills and da-da-da. Girl, at the end of the day, you are a trust fund, baby. I don't even know why people are getting upset about what she's saying, because, we all can know the obvious. It's not really nothing for nobody to get mad about. For example, okay, I went to public school. I don't know if she went to public school growing up. Okay, I went to a community college. I transferred to a university. Financial aid, grad school, financial aid. You see what I'm saying? These are things that she doesn't have to worry about. My first car was a 2005 Chevy Malibu hatchback. To her, that's a joke of a car. You see what I'm saying? But to me, shoot, I was happy to have it. It was my baby. I'm sure her first car was something, more luxury. My second car was a truck. Okay, reliable. That was the main thing I was looking for. I have good credit, so I didn't really have to worry about, how people say a down payment or anything like that. I told y'all before, I have a 700 something credit score. I didn't really have to worry about that, but I do have a car note. That girl probably paid for all her cars cash, or buy them off the lot. I just say these examples to paint a picture. Don't hate on other people that have come from a different world than you, because they don't know how it feels to have to go through the same things that you went through. They have to, basically, you gotta, I say it like this, basically. When you are handed everything, you have a different level of understanding of the world compared to somebody more so like me that's had to work a little harder to, attain certain things. So the people like me, we have a better understanding, and we have a better we respect our stuff a lot more. We appreciate life a little more than somebody that snap your fingers, like when she was on the TV show. I'm gonna call my dad. I'm gonna call my dad. I'm gonna call my dad. Everything. And when people said, I noticed a lot of people call her cash register throughout the years for Toya. They reference her as a cash register for her mother. But I get where they're going with that, and even if it is true or not, we not gonna sit here and act like Toya is the only woman that. And I can't even say she got with him for a come up, because if I'm not mistaken, they were going together before he even blew up. Okay? So I don't consider that her like being like a future baby mama. I don't consider that that's not the same thing, because future baby mamas was basically, majority of them were attaching themselves to him to get a come up. If that makes sense. I'm just using it as an example of how, I don't think her situation with Wayne is the same situation with, we see often these days with these girls getting with these guys. So, like, for example, I couldn't understand at one point in time why everybody wanted to have a baby by a rapper. I could not understand it, and it wasn't until somebody had to break it down to me. What they do is they hide the babies by the rappers, so they can get these high child support checks. And like the person once told me, the baby ain't gonna take for so much of that money. And what they do is they live off the rest of it. Because whether people want to admit it or not, child support is a source of income. Like when you apply anywhere for an apartment, they ask you what's your income, and one of the things that they list is child support. So whether people want to admit it or not, it is a source of income. So me personally, could I live off of it? As far as would I trust it? No. That's just me. I don't trust people like talking about it. Because I feel like in my mind, what if he lose his job? What if, anything could happen? What if he get hurt? Or, I think it's taking a chance when you just sit home all day and just live off child support. But nonetheless, I think that's a little different than what Wayne and Antoya had going on. And I think people need to stop hating on Reginae. She cannot help that. Now, I do believe her personality is going to get her own bag as well, as far as she can bring it. I believe she can bring it her own check, because it's not like, how we see, I give you an example. That lady that played on Full House, that they found out that she was buying her daughter way through college, right? I use that example to say, I don't believe when she makes it on certain shows, Wayne is buying her a spot on the show. I don't think so. I think she has enough personality to get her own spot on the show. But I do believe her father being who he is, that definitely plays a factor in her having easy access to the directors, to the people that's, directing the show, and the producers. Yes, very much so. And that's not her fault. That's not her fault. But with that being said, I think everybody needs to stop spending so much time focusing on who bringing in what, who got what, who lifestyle is what, and focus on how you can better yourself to get yourself, a certain lifestyle. Okay, because I don't know, but I can't speak for nobody else. When I'm living in my penthouse, making my big money, I'm that's no shade to nobody, but I don't have to. Can't nobody say, oh, it's because of who your parents are, or it's because you have generational wealth, or it's because you come from a long line of money. Can't nobody. Guess what? I think it's more respected when can't nobody say that. I would rather be the person saying, I didn't come from money, but money will come from me, versus I came from money. That's just my opinion, because it seemed like to me, you broke that cycle. You broke that cycle of just a lot of excuses. Why you couldn't do this, or why, I know we've all ran into people that they just have a lot of excuses of why their life is the way that it is. And I was just talking to somebody earlier. I've had my highs and my lows, but one thing, like I give you an example. I had a cousin once say to me, a big cousin, supposed to be anyway. She said to me, one thing I can say about you, you keep going. And she was crying. We was having a heart to heart, and this is unlike her. She said, one thing I can say about you, you keep going. And sometimes I wish I was still your age and focused, because she spent so much time running behind guys and, stuff like that. And as y'all all know, I was a hothead growing up, but I told myself that I didn't want to be like the people that hurt me, as far as made me look at people differently in the world. But nonetheless, stop spending so much time on who got what. She cannot help that. She can't help that. That was something that God had wrote in the book for her before she was even thought about. Okay? They say God knows who we gonna be before we were even a thought. Okay? I'm not talking about a THOT. I'm talking about a thought. Like, something that crosses somebody's brain. Okay, before Antoya even knew she was gonna have children, God knew that He was gonna put Reginae in the picture. Okay, so that's not nothing she can help. Nonetheless, I think we should all spend time. Okay, everybody not a school person. Everybody don't want to go. I've heard people say, look, when I was done with high school, I was done. I won't trying to go back to school. Okay, join the military. I've heard people say the military ain't paying no money. Okay, some people join just to get the house loan or get school paid for. Some people do that. It's all about, what you make out of it. I give you an example, somebody that had joined the military that had created generational wealth for their family. Okay. Judge Lynn, father, she has talked about how he was poor, okay, growing up, and how he joined the military, and he, basically he died a millionaire. He made his own business. I'm just throwing this out there for the people out there that say the military this and military that. It's all about what you do with it, right? Okay. Let's say you're not a school person. You don't want to join the military. What's next? Oh yeah, and going back to Judge Lynn, when I say he created generational wealth, okay, a millionaire, right? Of course, I'm sure once he closed his eyes, all that money probably went to her and her sister. So that, by him putting them in private schools, that afforded them better opportunities. Now look at her. You see what I'm saying? So you don't have to be born into money to create the money for your family. Okay? You seeing more of that, even if you're not, okay, you don't want to go to school, you don't want to join the military, go get a trade. Okay, people sleep on the trades. Sometimes, I've known a guy that is a welder and he makes $40 an hour. Okay, if you get on some of these big yards, as far as like a shipyard, if you get on a not even that, if you operating on these big vessels, climbing in them big holes down in the ship, down in the trenches, that the jobs basically that nobody wants to do. If you're that person that wants to do it, they will pay you for that. Okay, very well. Okay, let's say you don't want to do a trade, you don't want to go to school, you don't want to join the military. Okay, all is not lost. Okay, start your own business. I don't advise nobody to quit their job to start their own business. That's just me personally. I don't trust that. I feel like you need to still work on starting your business. That's just me personally. It's just other stuff that I feel, in a nutshell, I feel people need to stop focusing on what the next person have. Okay, and focus on how you can create that for yourself and your life and your future children, or your already born children, or your family, or whatever the case may be. Stop making excuses. Stop hating on the people that already, have basically their life painted for them. They cannot help that. All right, they cannot help that. And that's not that's not their fault. That's not their problem. That's not none of your business, really. And like I said once before, I cannot compare myself to somebody like that, because they don't really, we come from two separate worlds. And that's not their fault. That's not your fault. I grew up middle class. Okay? I'm middle class, but I didn't grow up out the hood. I didn't grow up, I never went hungry. I never, but, to somebody, of like Lil Wayne, I'm middle class, but to him, that's not really, you get where I'm coming with it. It's, of course we know he wasn't born into money, but he created generational wealth. Hey, I forgot about that. They hit on that. He created generational wealth. Everybody need to stop wanting to be a rapper so they can make it big. people act like you can't work a decent job and live a good life. I don't know about nobody else, but I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be big. I don't want to be the next who's somebody. I don't want to be the next famous person. I don't want to be that. I'm happy living my regular life, living out my nice neighborhood, making a nice salary, living a nice low-key life, coming and going as I please, making good money. I'm happy with that. I don't, I'm good and I'm content. With that being said, I think people need to spend more time focusing on this. So stop worrying about people. Stop getting mad at people because they're saying, you're being hurtful in the comments and all this other mess. Mad because somebody said, basically they're implying they basically, did everything for themselves. Okay, if that's how she feel, that's how she feel. Hey, we know what it is, not as far as we know her personally, but we know who her daddy is. We know who her daddy is. Like, of course she knows her daddy better than we do, but y'all get what I'm saying. Like, we know her daddy is rich. She know her daddy rich. Okay, so at the end of the day, no, we don't know them folks personally, but as we can all see, we know one thing for certain. Her daddy is rich. He not just rich, he's filthy rich. Okay? And she cannot help that. So I think we all need to spend less time, dissecting, why somebody feels the way that they feel. Let people feel the way that they feel. Okay? Like I told the bitch once before, not too long ago, if you spend less time, like one of my acceptance letters was for Georgetown, right? The bitch gonna sell out her choppers. They just letting anybody in Georgetown these days. For grad school. Like I told her, if you spend less time worrying about, that's my dryer. If you spend less time worrying about how in the hell I got into some of the schools that I got into for grad school, maybe you could find out who your baby daddy is if you focus on what's more important. Okay? And she got, bitch! Yeah, bitch! Because bitches hate to hear the truth. It just goes to show, stop worrying about how the blessings are in other people's life are flowing, and spend more time focusing on you. And maybe a lot of things that make more sense. Like I told her, if you stop focusing on me, maybe you could see and think back and sit down on who you really slept with. Okay, which my dudes talked to me about. She said that was a low blow. That was a low blow because I wasn't even talking to her about my letters, and she just inserted herself. And that's why I say bitches be getting involved in shit and ain't got nothing to do with them, and they can dish it but they can't take it. I told y'all before I hit below the belt, okay? Because I don't bother nobody. So so anyway, that's just what it is. But nonetheless, yeah, she can't help. Her daddy is who he is. People need to stop focusing on that and focus on themselves. And at the end of the day, that's it. Oh yeah, and by the way, in closing, I feel the real reason why, just my opinion, she trying to act like, she did everything basically, she self-made, as if nobody never gave her SHIT, to be honest. I feel that she's doing it because deep down, I think we all know, it's more respect than when you got it out the mud. Like I always say, I'd rather be the person that built the building from the ground up versus the person that it was handed down to from generation to generation. I'd rather be the person that actually build it from the ground up, especially if it's your stuff. I think a lot of people, and I think she probably know deep down, hey, if I say I got it myself, it's more respected versus me saying my dad this and my dad that, as we have all seen her say on the show, my dad, let me call my dad, let me call my dad. And I think as she got a little older, she probably realized, damn, it's more respected when I say I did it, because we don't even hear her say that the way she used to when she was younger. That's just my own opinion, but either way, like I said once before, she cannot help. She was born into money. So stop being mad at that girl. Stop. I could never be a bitch that get mad at somebody or clown somebody or come at somebody because they say what they did for themselves. Yeah, I hear you, but in the back of my head, I'm like, girl, boo. Anyway, her opinion, and that's it.